Hello, you're celebrating 25 years of joy. Good evening to you. Welcome to Business Live with me, Emmanuel Abuaji. We have it coming up. Banks in Accra implement government's directive for all customers to wear nose masks to check spread of COVID-19. We'll be telling you more about this shortly. Also in the bulletin, Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, records 400% jump in foreign direct investment in Ghana for the first quarter of 2020. And GridCo collaborates with Sonon Asogli plant to increase power supply through the national grid. Details of all these stories coming up in a jiffy. Don't go away. Thank you very much for making a date with me on Business Live. Welcome back. Energy Minister John Peter Amewu says a newly commissioned Autotransformer will help feed the national grid with additional power. The $5.4 million project follows a successful collaboration between GridCo and Sonon Asogli to improve power supply. Prior to the execution of the project, the parties in the sector were experiencing some challenges. He disclosed this in an interview after commissioning the Autotransformer for the Sonon Asogli plant at home. There's more in this report.
This entire project cost $5.4 million, with GridCo contributing an Autotransformer worth $3.3 million. Sonon Asogli, on the other hand, invested $2 million to cater for the remaining cost of the project. The new equipment is expected to provide flexibility in system operations through power transfers between 330 kV and 161 kV networks. Additional capacity being made through this project will make about 1,500 gigawatts of power available per year to the national grid. Energy Minister John Peter Amewu believes the project will ensure stable and reliable transmission of power.
The point we raised about the ECG and then NetCo trying to work on some of the obsolete equipment. For instance, ECG over the period, you've noticed some intermittent power supply. It's all as a result of some of this obsolete equipment. His Excellency has directed that we lump all this in together and then see how we can quickly bring them back to life, by changing some of this equipment. Some of them have been for years, 20 years, 15 years, and have not been done. Some have limitations, just as GridCo, trying to expand on its facility. So I think going forward, with this beautiful collaboration that we've seen between Sonon Asogli and then GridCo, if we begin to expand on such understanding, I think that, of course, this is not the first one we are going to witness from them. And so maybe if they have to do more and other people also follow similarly, we'll be able to address some of these challenges in the power sector.
Chairman of Sonon Asogli, Yank Khan, says the company will continue to support efforts in ensuring stable power in Ghana and beyond.
Sonon Asogli, as we all know, is the first and the largest independent power producer in Ghana. We started as a 200 megawatts power plant in 2010, and in 2016, we put into operation the second phase of the power plant with a capacity of 360 megawatts, making a total 560 megawatts. We came in with $1 billion investment to help with the power crisis Ghana was facing at the time. Since Sonon Asogli started operations 10 years ago, we have generated approximately 12.6 trillion watt-hour of the power to the national grid. And this has significantly boosted the energy sector and the economy of Ghana.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive of GridCo, Jonathan Amwakoban, says Ghana will benefit from collaboration between the two parties.
It is important to note that there had always been the need to enhance the generation capacity of the Asogli power plant in terms of power evacuation to the national transmission grid. In fact, government through the Ministry of Energy had engaged us on several occasions to do something about it. So we decided to combine our unique strengths and make this happen. The Ghana Grid Company, the company I represent, contributed the 330/161 kV 200 MVA Autotransformer, valued at $3.3 million United States dollars towards the project. Sunon Asogri then contributed additional funding and other logistics, amounting to over $2 million, which was enough to ensure the success of the initiative.
Ghana Investment Promotion Center says the first quarter of 2020 witnessed a 400% jump in foreign direct investments in Ghana. This is despite the emergence of COVID-19, which saw some businesses initiating bauxite tourism come to a halt. CEO of the GIPC, Yofi Grant, says it is time to look at companies that will sustain the economy around this time and for which incentives may be provided. He added the strategy is also looking at improving infrastructure and technology in preparation for an FDI boom. Yofi Grant was speaking with Odile Ntiamwa.
I think that Ghana is rather in a position where we should be looking at the whole 100 billion could be a target for Ghana alone, not Africa. Because like I said, we do have the resources. What we have found wanting indigenously is the capital to develop a lot of these things. But we can attract investors with partnerships and linkages. And I believe that we have enough opportunity to absorb the 100 billion in the next 5 to 10 years. To build our infrastructure, to build our education, to build our health, to build social services and build our communities, smart cities, etc. We'll probably be able to take that $100 billion, Ghana alone. So I'm not sure it's time now to say that you should put a cap on foreign investment. Foreign investment, from my viewpoint, is about partnerships. Gone are those days of exploitation. I mean, gone are those days where people just plunged in and then took out and that was it. Now, we have foreign direct investment bringing in real capital, building businesses, and those businesses are not there fly-by-night businesses that they come in and they go out. They are businesses that want continuity because that's how they make their money. And so, to the extent that the kind of reforms and the kind of relationships and the kind of contracts we sign guarantee that we have sustainable financing, then I think that it's a wrong time to say we should cap foreign direct investment to Africa. On the contrary, I think Africa needs to tell its story better. We need to reposition better. We need to write contracts that are beneficial to us. Not just to the investor, but to us as well. Because that's the reason why you attract money. I mean, if you come to build a business, then it must employ my people, it must create jobs, and it must be sustainable. So those are the kind of things that I expect going forward, that Africa will do better. And as the director representing Africa on the World Association of Investment Promotion Agencies, I mean, one of the things that I mooted in our last steering committee meeting was the issue of incentives. That we should apply our incentives for responsible investors. Those who can guarantee sustainability. Those who can ensure that they are really locked into the local economies and create sustainable partnerships. That is where we should have a better use of our incentives.
And you think this is the time?
Oh, I think this is the time going forward.
Now, on the back of the President's directive and the subsequent order from the Ministry of Health for the compulsory wearing of nose masks, some banks have begun implementing this particular directive by turning away non-compliant customers from transacting businesses. My colleague Fred Duho visited some banks in Accra and had an unfortunate experience. He joins me in the studio to share with us his fate. So what exactly took place?
Yeah, so I went to 3 banks, CBG, that's the Consolidated Bank of Ghana, Societe Generale, and another bank. And at these particular banks, you will see clearly, boldly written at the entrance that no mask, no entry. So almost all these banks have at their entrance, no mask, no entry. And you will see security men at the entrance enforcing this law. So what I did was to go to the entrance without nose mask, pretend that I want to do some sort of deposit, and what they told me is without the mask, they will not allow me in. So I was wondering, without the mask, if I'm there to deposit money, what becomes of that business? And for them, they do not have answers. So I moved further to engage with some of the workers in the bank, and what they've been telling me is the fact that they are finding ways around this whole issue because they can't provide masks in the first place, and if the customer also do not have money to buy the nose mask, they don't know how they will find a way to communicate this to these customers. But they are working around it.
Were you the only person involved in this, or you had other people also?
I would say a number of customers that I saw, all of them were complying with this directive. That I can put on record. That almost all the customers that came in to do business were wearing nose masks, and you hardly see somebody coming to the bank without a nose mask. So in this whole thing, I can say the order by the President and the Ministry of Health is being followed by the general public and is being enforced by the banks themselves. So this whole thing is being complied with.
All right. So I guess it's also for the safety of everybody now that we're still fighting the coronavirus pandemic. Now, away from that, many institutions have consistently been responding to government's call to support the fight against the COVID-19. Suppliers of plant-based shea butter, Fuji Oil, has supported health institutions within the municipality within which it operates with medical supplies and sanitary items worth 50,000 Ghana cedis. Prince Appiah has more in this report.
Fuji Oil Ghana Limited, incorporated in 2011, operates in the Techiman Enclave. Fuji Oil Ghana specializes in fractionation of shea butter into shea stearin and other products. In the face of the coronavirus pandemic, the company admits the situation has affected their operations. Procurement Officer Jobosei says it is therefore critical to support health officials and the frontliners to fight it so the business can return to normalcy.
And since we are part of the community, we find it important that as part of our corporate social responsibility, we do something to help the community as we fight against this deadly virus that has come to hit the entire globe. So that has been the main reason behind this gesture. And we hope that with this, it is going to help us combat the virus.
The items include infrared thermometers, disinfectants, gloves, and other medical supplies. Municipal Health Director for Techiman, Florence Idrissa, received the items on behalf of the municipality.
This morning is one of the happiest mornings in my life, especially since the event coronavirus occurred in the country. We are happy. The donation is one of the largest donations we have received so far. We assure Fuji Oil that every health facility that is in this municipality, since we are the overseers of every health event in the municipality, we will ensure that they all get something out of it. And any philanthropist, anybody who has in his or her heart to come and help us, our doors are opened.
Meanwhile, the donation was worth 50,000 Ghana cedis. Prince Appiah reporting.
Meanwhile, indigenous oil marketing company Goil Company Limited has also presented personal protective equipment, PPEs, and other items to the Shaiman Polyclinic in support of government's effort to stem the spread of COVID-19. The items, valued at 20,000 Ghana cedis, comprise Veronica buckets, medical overalls, 2,000 pieces of hand sanitizers, 5 pieces of face shield masks, and among others. This follows an appeal from the Shaiman Polyclinic to Goil for support, which was promptly responded to by the company.
The company has already made similar donations to other institutions in Accra and Kumasi since the coronavirus disease broke out. The Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital, the 37 Military Hospital, and the Ghana Private Road Transport Union have all received support. Goil has made cash donation to the National COVID-19 Fund to support government's efforts at combating the disease. Presenting the items at a brief ceremony at the Shaiman Polyclinic, the Public Relations Manager of Goil, Mr. Robert Tre, said the company recognized the remarkable role of all frontline workers in the fight against the coronavirus disease, hence its decision to offer them support.
Boots, medical gloves, a shield, and all the rest valued at 20,000 cedis to Ashaman Polytechnic. For them, Ashaman Polyclinic to help them overcome this disease. We are true to our conviction that our effort will not go in vain. They will use it judiciously for fighting the disease.
Receiving the items, head of the Ashaman Polyclinic, Dr. Mavis Opon-Addo, expressed appreciation to God for the gesture, saying it has come at the right time.
This disease doesn't know any borders. It doesn't respect any person. So when we protect ourselves in our own small corner, we are protecting everybody. And these donations that you have made, they are the right donation at the right time. It's so fit for purpose. Then we are very, very grateful for your help. We are hoping that as you have donated, as we curb this illness, we can all go back to our normal activities.
Away from that, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders says the myriad of problems facing declarants are mostly due to the lack of proper mapping of the process flow, inadequate training of declarants, and unresolved systemic issues. GIF says demurrage and rent payments have become the norm with no respite in sight. According to GIF, the state will have to wait a while to get the fundamentals right before implementing the new port management system, UNIPAS, since an attempt to introduce this in busier ports like KIA and Tema would be disastrous. President of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Edward Akron, joins me via Zoom now with more on this particular development. Good evening, sir. Welcome to Business Live.
Good, thank you for having me.
Yes, so we're witnessing the rollout of UNIPAS in Tema Port tomorrow. You've been fighting this for some time now. You recently held a ground report. What did you find out?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to confirm again and again that it's not like we're fighting, whatever the government policy is. All we're asking is if it has to be done, it has to be done well. So basically, we've been going on the ground also to find out, because we have our members all over the districts and, at the entry points where customs, do business, and we needed to make sure that they're comfortable. So when they started at the, at the frontiers, so specifically we're talking a Lubo, Paga, Flao, we realized we're having issues. So there was some kind of a semi-parallel run. So they were still using the GCNet and the power system as it stands. Now, but Takrady was a major event, because then that is the first time you have the actual issue of having, manifest loaded onto the system and, declarations being done. So I had to go to Takrady, to do, an actual survey on the ground to, assess the situation and then find out for ourselves what this would mean if, the rollover goes on tomorrow. And I must report that the situation in Takrady is a bit dire, because there are several delays. In which I have put in a report. There's several technical stuff. I don't know how I can break all of this down. But then, if this is not resolved, then we're bound to see the same thing starting tomorrow in Tema and at the airport.
Now, government has been firm with the rollout of this particular policy, saying that for now, it can run concurrently with the existing policies until, a final takeover. Does it still pose a problem to your members?
Well, therein lies my problem. I'm saying that because we talked about inadequacy of the training, I can tell you for a fact, if this starts tomorrow morning, I wouldn't know where to start. That is another matter. So I don't see how my members can even come to me asking me how to resolve their problems. We're told about, them having a call center, help desk, and how are you going to resolve the issues of the myriad of members that we have at the same time when these problems are, coming up tomorrow? So I'm saying, for now, we've done what we have to do. We've said what we have to say. If that does not happen, if we get into this tomorrow without any respite, then we'll see what happens from there.
Now, what about the payment of revenue to the GRA? Is this still, or would it be a problem at this time when it rolls out tomorrow?
No, so the reason is, with what we do, any delays is a delay. Any delay is a delay in revenue. Okay, because if the declaration hasn't gone through, we haven't gone through the whole process. First of all, there has to be all of the pre-arrival. What we've been told, we know now is that the system is going to subsume everything. So all the pre-arrival and post-arrival declarations, everything is going to be done in this one system, okay? So if I haven't gotten, say, valuation yet, which is a pre-arrival issue, if I haven't gotten the valuation on time, how do I pay the duties? The duty is not going to happen. So the revenue is going to, the earlier it comes, the earlier I get to pay. If not, then we're all going to be stuck. Revenue is going to be stuck. There are going to be delays. This leads into demurrage, state rent, terminal rent and all that, which is what we've been trying to avoid all this.
Right. So let's end it here and wait till tomorrow. We'll certainly come back to you for the follow-up on that. Thank you very much. Edward Akron is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF. Now, the International Air Transport Association, IATA, is projecting $6 billion loss of passenger revenues in 2020 for African airlines owing to COVID-19 effects. It also estimates job loss in the aviation sector and related industries at about $1.3 billion. Freelance journalist Kamal Dini Tagba joins us from Lome, Togo, for more updates on this particular report. Kamal, all right, so I hear we lost Kamal Dini there via Zoom. Now, the coronavirus pandemic has affected the world in an unprecedented way, and Africa is not left out, with the continent's leaders still deliberating the way forward for the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement set to commence in July this year, while calls have been made for implementation of the CFTA to be postponed. Afro Champions Initiative, a set of innovative public-private partnership on the success of trading agreement, is calling on African heads of state to rather use COVID-19 as a catalyst to roll out the initiative. Chief Strategist of Afro Champions, Michael Koto, has been speaking with my colleague, Ishra Ado.
The COVID-19 pandemic is really disrupting preparedness of the continent towards the July 2020 expected start of trading. And I'll give you a couple of ways in which it is disrupting the AFCFTA preparedness already. So the first one is that the Accra Secretariat of the AFCFTA was supposed to have opened in March. That had to be postponed because of the pandemic. So the Secretariat is currently operating.
All right, so I'm told we have Kamal Dini Tagba on the line from Lome via Zoom, of course, to tell us more about this latest update report on the International Air Transport Association, IATA. Good afternoon, Kamal. Welcome to Business Line.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emmanuel, for having me today again.
All right, so what exactly is the report saying, and for which it is quite worrying for African airlines?
Yeah, last week the IATA met during a meeting, and they discussed the situation regarding the effect of coronavirus on business around the world, especially the aviation industry. And the vice president of the organization in charge of Africa and the Middle East has painted a very black picture of the situation in Africa and the Middle East region. He's saying basically that, as you know, many countries, several countries around the world, including African countries and Middle East countries, have grounded the passenger jets because of the effects. For that reason, he's saying that the number of passengers has completely dropped. Millions of people have not been able to travel anymore, which has completely affected the economy of various countries. This is estimated about some $6 billion, and which is also going to cause some job losses as well, which is also estimated about $3.1 billion in Africa. And we have some figures which are very alarming. We have to say that, for example, Ghana is going to lose 2.8 million, has lost 2.8 million passengers so far, and which has also caused around 248,000 jobs, which will cost the Ghana economy $1.6 billion as a loss, which is huge a lot. We also see the case of Ethiopia, which is the largest airline in Africa, which is also affected. Ethiopia is expected to lose 2.5 million passengers, about 500,000.
All right. So, Kamal, these are worrying figures, but did the report, highlight on the way to bounce back after this pandemic?
Yeah, sure. The organization says the governments have to intervene directly into the passenger jets, because the governments also have to inject money. As you know, some countries like the United States and several countries around the world.
Thank you very much. Kamal Tini Tagba is a freelance journalist. He joined me via Zoom from Lome, Togo. And on that note, to wrap up this evening's edition of Business Live, many thanks for watching. And for more business news, log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Have a good evening.